And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Play Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. My name's Verm, and as I said I would between episodes, I went and cleared out the area that we'd come through, I believe it's the Things Betwixt. There's no enemies left there anymore other than the inaccessible areas. And we've got enough souls to level up. We're going to skip through this dialogue because we heard it last time. Now I believe we need a 12 strength and God knows what in the way of dexterity, so we're going to go like that. And I guess we should go for adaptability just to make sure we get those iframes. Now, I kind of hinted at the level requirements for weapons last episode, but I figure I should mention this game has a huge variety of weapons and armors. Oh, it's 15 strength, so we've just wasted a bit of time there, but oh well, we need another 3 strength levels. We can actually wield that now, we just can't use it properly, I believe. I don't know what the thing is about it. It might be reduced damage or something. We're going to switch back to the dagger for now, and we're going to proceed into the Forest of Fallen Giants. There's a huge variety of weapons in this game, and armor and shields and all sorts of lovely things for you to use. The Morning Star's a very early weapon. We'll probably swap and change quite a bit throughout the playthrough before I settle on something I like. With Elden Ring, I've been doing the same. Make sure you grab that rusted coin, by the way, in future playthroughs. So I should probably explain, this game has New Game Plus, where upon completing the game you can opt to start with everything you already have, like your levels, your weapons, all that, your inventory, and the world gets harder. Enemies have more health, do more damage, etc. On one of the future New Game Plus cycles, this has something else in it. I cannot recall what. I will probably show it, because I will be doing 100%, I've decided. I may not record the New Game Plus playthroughs, but I probably will. We'll see how quickly we can rush through them to get the items we need. But anyway, we have to pull this lever by pressing A, come through here. You'll notice as we play this game, the environments in these games are incredibly large and to scale, so to speak. Like, you'll be walking through a castle and it will really feel the size of one. You can probably hear that lovely audio in the background of some running water. So, this area coming up is the Forest of Fallen Giants. There are some more of those ogres from earlier. I'll not be clearing those out yet, or any of the enemies really. I'll just be killing them once and moving on. I'll leave the clearing enemies out in each area till close at the end of the playthrough due to not wanting to become over-leveled. Seeing that human effigy has reminded me I died once due to fall damage during my little excursion between episodes. It's alright though. So as you can see, we're in a forest now, there's lots of enemies scattered around. We're going to deal with the little ones first and then go and kill the big boy. Oh dear. So you'll notice immediately this game is absolutely vicious. And enemies can deal a huge amount of damage very quickly. Which is why it's important to stay on top of how much Estus you've got left. You can make use of parry mechanics with a shield to get a critical hit in. But we don't have a shield yet, and I'm not 100% sure if I'll be using one for most of the playthrough. I think I will most likely be focusing heavily on probably a two-handed weapon. When I first played this game I used a two-handed greatsword. I'll show it when we come up on it. I think we get iframes when we backstab enemies. I'm hoping so anyway, because I remembered that enemy rushing from behind. It has been a while since I've played this game, so I won't remember everything, but things like that I do remember. Because I've been caught off guard by them in the past. As you can see, these enemies have gone hollow. Also, he drops a throwing knife, which isn't really going to be all that useful at this point, but hey, it's nice to have for the future. I think another enemy drops down here, don't they? Maybe not. Also, I may confuse things with the original build of this game due to the fact that this is the Redux Scholar of the First Sin edition. We're going to use a life gem here. They slowly restore some HP. It's not worth using, rather. An Estus flask there to heal that little bit of health, but when we're dealing with this thing here, we probably want the extra health. We're going to run up on Manlark, well. We want to get behind him, get him to do his jump. Oh no. Get him to do his sit down now. sit on me, but buy me a drink first. It's always a good idea with this game as well to get used to the rolling mechanic, because that is literally your best lifesaver in these games. But you can basically trick that thing into staying in that little loop there, get yourself a Soul of a Proud Knight, and I'm going to use the human effigy because I want to be fully human for as much of the game as possible. I don't think there's any more items here. There was in the original build an item here, but they moved it for the Scholar version. Also, make sure we grab this bonfire. There's a weapon, as I recall, coming up in a moment that we may use as a stopgap. There was actually a couple of weapons in this area ahead of us in the first build of the game that you could use, but I believe they changed it for this. I could be wrong. There was one change they made, but, well, under that tree there used to be a knight in white armour. I can't remember exactly what they're called. I think they're called the Hades Knights. They're not there anymore. They roam in their actual, like, war-based area. They did change a few things to make them more, I guess, thematically accurate for the lore of the game. We're just going to clear these out. I am keeping an eye on my weapon durability though. I want to make sure it doesn't run out before I get the item I was talking about. I think an enemy climbs down here. Yes. See, things are coming back slowly. Ambush him as he gets off the ladder. There's an item down there to get. That jump can be a pain in the arse, so we'll leave that for a moment. There's a slightly tougher Hollow Knight or Hollow Soldier or whatever over here. He likes to throw firebombs down on the player. I'm a little bit like Judge Death, but he can fall down. Jump over there. Is this the item I think it is? Yes, we have a short sword now, and I believe we also have the stats to use it. We do. It scales slightly worse on dexterity, but it scales better on strength, and is overall the better weapon for us for now. Oh dear, I didn't mean to fall down there. There is actually a root you can land on that negates some of that fall damage. There didn't actually used to be. That was added to the Scholar reworking of the game. Oh, you little bastard. I'm nervous about my stamina at the minute. It will be something I'll be putting points into with some level ups. Oh dear. It is a case of getting used to these games again and making sure your character is tailored more for it. So these early stages may be difficult. I'll make sure no more of these are just plain possum. I like to delay my attacks a little bit on these guys just in case they're out of range for my last swing, so I'm not wasting stamina. We've nearly finished here now. And then we can make the jump of death. I like that backstab animation with the short sword. Feels very weighty. We're going to use another life gem. In fact, I might slot those. Just to give me access to the quick use. Broken straight sword, that's something you can use if your weapons are getting broken. Just equip that and do the last couple of hits of damage, and it tides you through these early areas where you don't have repair powder and items such as that, which help increase your, well, save durability on your weapons. Also, this area is surprisingly detailed graphically for the time. I believe it was 2014. Look at those ground textures. They look rather nice. As I said, the scale of these games is the main thing, but the actual environments are always very, very nice to look at as well. The fidelity might not be quite there, but the overall look of the game is excellent. Certainly, oh shit. Well, there's the first death of the episode. The overall fidelity of the game isn't actually something they've improved over the years either, like Elden Ring still looks like trash. Okie dokie. We've got to go and get our souls back. That's the mechanic of these games, is that when you die, your souls drop, and if you die again on route there, you lose them for good. I don't intend to lose them, but it might happen once or twice throughout the run. Oh dear. See, this area can actually be a little bit dangerous just because of the sheer volume of enemies and the fact you don't have a whole lot of healing and a whole lot of health or armour. There is an armour set very early on that's one of the best in the game. I don't know if I'll use it because it's a little bit broken. I don't like the time it takes to use your Estus Flask in this one. I think that is far, far better in Dark Souls 3 and I think Dark Souls 1 as well. Okay, so I have a rule of clearing every enemy out once, so I won't be clearing everything out over and over again, but it could be useful to just get rid of some of the more in-the-way enemies here. And it'll get us some more souls along the way to however many we need. Get this guy to come down again. How are we gonna do it? Yeah, it's there. We could die a couple times trying this. This jump is really not the friendliest, but we got it this time. It's only a soul item, I believe. Yes, and some throwing knives, which are good just to tag enemies from a distance with. Oh, I don't like the fall distance, fall damage rather in this. They massively increased the distance you could drop in the newest one, Elden Ring, which is fully open world, and everybody seems to be loving right now. But in this, it's a little bit more unforgiving, as is most things in the Souls games, like the first 3. I definitely feel they're a lot more challenging than Elden Ring overall, although Millennia, whatever her fucking name is, the Olive Tree boss is seriously kicking my ass on it. So I'll show you where we should have dropped down. Now, in the old version, you would drop down here and then you'd have to drop down like onto the ground and take fall damage. There's a route here now that just negates that tiny bit of falling damage. It's one of those nice quality of life changes for the Scholar of the First Sin edition. A lot of people don't like this version of the game. I haven't played the original Dark Souls 2 for a long time, so I don't recall how much different it is. I think we've cleared out all the ones we're going to have to. Just get rid of this guy in case we have to run back through here. Yes, there are a few enemies through here. As you can see, durability on the weapons isn't great in this game. I think they actually improved it in Scholar of the First Sin. You could probably hear the growl of the enemies there. Just peek around that corner. An enemy tries ambushing you. And then if you come up here. One. I believe there's also another one. Yes, there is, in the corner there. We'll leave them alone for a minute. We'll go around and deal with them that way. One thing that's always impressed me is how the hell people do these games hitless. Like, what is that noise I can hear? Oh, there's another one there. This bolts behind here? Yes, wood bolts for a crossbow. There is a variety of weaponry you can use in this game. Like I say, I prefer at the minute big two-handed weapons, but we might mix it up a bit at times. I'm currently using a two-handed spear on Elden Ring. Also, you saw there you can do a guard break attack if you press forward and attack at the same time. You can knock shield enemies back and break the guard. That area down there we can explore in a moment as well, and we will do. Now, there's an absolute dick up there who likes throwing firebombs, if I recall. Yes. And there's an archer up there who can be a pain in the shitbox as well. Not too bad though. We're gonna go and deal with this fella next. As you can see, he loves throwing fire bombs, but he's a bit of a pushover really. There's an archer cunt up there who can be a pain if he wants. Is there an item over there? There is. I think it's a buckler, as I recall. Indeed. And you see, he'll just keep tagging you from there. It's fine, you could pull out some throwing knives or a bow or something and deal with him, but we'll get sweet revenge on him shortly. Now you'll note there's an enemy who'll come around here in a minute. If you go straight to the door there and try and open it, he will come up behind you like a little prick. We just got a bastard sword for killing him, which requires 20 strength, 11 dexterity. Now before we tackle the area down here that I mentioned, which has a couple of new enemy types, or at least one off the top of my head, we're going to go through here. Hit this. Now there's an NPC to talk to there. Before we do though, I'll just show a couple of things. There's a locked door up here we can't open just yet, but we do get the key to this door soon. And as we go down here, and god, the atmospherics in this game are actually surprisingly good. There's a wall here. You'll see something that happens with that later, and the ladder that proceeds down where we need to go. Got a lovely statue there. This game does great environmental storytelling and stuff. And I'm going to shut up while we talk to this trader.
Oh, come now, help an old woman and buy something. My name is Melentia. You're a stranger to this land. Oh, we get as strangers these days. Everybody's gonna run off. Dranglake's been a pile of rubble since the war fought long, long ago. And the giants crossed the sea. It seemed like the battles would never end. Poor folk like myself had nary a place to sleep. That's why I keep all me things right with me. You may travel light, but methinks you bear a burden of your own.
So yes, this forest is like the remnants of a fight between I believe the soldiers of King Vendrick, who was the ruler of Dranglake at the time, and the giants who crossed the sea to fight them. We'll see a lot more about that later on. There's a lot of detailed lore in this game about that. We'll carry on talking to Melentia the Merchant Hag now.
They say these trees grew from the remains of the giants. From each carcass sprouted new life growing into what you see now. But you hear what they also say? Don't believe what an old hag says. It's high time that I pick up a mirth. Of a bargain for you. Next time we meet my lover. It's high time.
So, Melentia is now going to go to Majula, the hub area. We're going to buy something off her and then we're actually going to follow her there. She's got weapons for sale, we don't want any of these. She has the travelling merchant set. We don't want any of that, we will buy it out later on. What we want is the blacksmith's key, Lennygrass key. We'll probably get some of those human effigies later on. She also sells a very basic sorcery and a basic miracle.
Thanks.
So you'll notice when we rest here now, she will have disappeared. Or she should have. Maybe not. Maybe if we go to Majula she'll be there, and it might just be that you have to trigger the first actual boss fight of the game. Which, spoiler alert, is coming up. Yeah, I believe you have to do that because she should be here. So I think, yeah, that's probably what you have to do. It doesn't really make much of a difference anyway. I think you just have to proceed to the next bonfire or something like that. We're going to use up all these souls. I like that you can stay in menu and do it, which you can't actually do in Elden Ring. You have to open the menu up each time you want to do this. And then we're going to go and open Leningrast's blacksmithery up.
I'm a blacksmith. Bring.
And before we speak to him, we're going to rob him blind. There's a bow in here. We won't use it anytime, I don't believe, unless we want to tag an enemy.
Ah, yes, very good. Now I can get. But first, let me set up. Come again later.
I do apologise that I keep clicking through the old line of dialogue, folks. When I'm playing like on my own, I would just click through the dialogue as I read it. I've heard all this dialogue a million times before, but now we have access to the blacksmithery.
Stand back. This is dangerous work.
I'm going to shut up while we go through his dialogue.
Lenigrast, just a simple blacksmith. And you are? Another useless traveller.
Jarvie, you cunt, Jarvie.
A man ought to labour with his feet planted firmly in the earth. Not roam around like you flirtatious vagabonds. Oh, what does it matter? Go on, show me what you've got. Your equipment. Let me have a look. But do it quick. Drat. You're worse than my reckless daughter. Don't spend your whole life in transit, you hear? You'll need souls to repair and improve equipment. I know only of smithing, but souls have many other uses as well. Don't waste your souls on useless trinkets. Think before you spend. Equipment can be strengthened with rare orestone, but such orestone won't come easily. My girl knows her stones, but she's always out prancing about. Now, there's a time for travels, but you can't wander the world forever. Even you must have someone waiting back home. Drat. Don't spend your...
I quite like Lenigrast, he seems quite a nice character. So we can buy weapons off him. There's nothing really catching my eye. I've been playing with a spear on Elden Ring. I don't really feel like using one here. Longsword, I've used broadswords before. I think Dark Souls 3, that was my go-to weapon first time around. I played like an Arya Stark cosplay playthrough with a rapier once. That was good fun, made my character look like her. We can buy some more Titanite shards and some repair powder. You can also repair your equipment and reinforce it. What we're going to do, I've decided, is use our Titanite shard to reinforce the Blaster's Sword, because that's the early game weapon I'll be using this time around. I've never used it before. I'd like to give it a go, so we're going to go and level up towards that. The requirements were 20 strength and 11 dex, so let's see how long it takes us to hit those requirements. Until then, we're going to be using Zish's got to do so.
Seeking salvation. It happens to them all.
I think we've seen, yeah, we've seen this dialogue. So we're going to level up again. We wanted 20 strength, 11 dex. 3 more strength levels and we should be there. One thing I like in this game is you can actually go here. This was the first one that did this. You couldn't see it in the second Dark Souls game. But you could see next to the 931 souls that we have, the 1217 we need for the next level, and even your total soul count, which is your soul memory, on the right hand side of that top row. Which comes into play later on. There is an area that you can open up early if you have a certain number of total souls. We're going to travel back to the Cardinal Tower and explore that lower area, and then I think we'll call it a day after that. Or an episode anyway. We may have enough by the end of it to wield our Blaster's Sword, in which case we can shuffle on through this area quite comfortably, I believe. I think there's an enemy behind me. Yes, there is. It's always good to be aware of your surroundings in this game. Oh, and there's another one actually. They're all coming to the party now. One thing you'll notice is, in this game, you can't sell items to many people. But I believe the only trader you can sell to comes much later on. So, For now, we're just going to be hoarding useless items. The levels are very intricate in these games, although they've steadily got less so since the first game, where the majority of it was quite interconnected. I believe Bloodborne was the same. Now, there's a way onto that area there. I think you have to jump off that. Do we really want to risk it though? That's the question. We can do, fuck it. This area can actually be a bit of a trip up because there are a lot of enemies packed into quite a tight area that you can get mobbed by, but it's no real problem. As you can see, you can jump off that tree, get the prism stones, which you can throw to lure enemies to that spot. Anything else up here? No. As I say, there's a lot of enemies here. It can become quite crowded if you don't take them on one at a time. You'll see the new enemy type I mentioned over there. Ones with like the turtle shells on. Don't let them hit you for obvious reasons. Their armor is really fucking cool though. See, that's those iframes I was telling you about that come into play there. That should not have hit me. Also, God, why is the Estus drinking so slow in this game? You have to be really precise with dodges early on, because otherwise you will get hit by literally anything. This game's like very unfair with things like that. I'm also having to remember to speak up quite a bit. Apologies if my voice keeps cutting in and out. I'm still not used to this new microphone. Also, we've got some new pots there that we can throw to deal magic damage. I don't actually recall where we picked those up. The other new enemy I was referring to, you'll see in a moment. Please hit it. Okay, don't. If we can keep it doing that, that'll be very nice. Oh my god. Well, that wasn't very fair, was it? Let's bait out an attack. Of the life gem. I'm a bit worried about the amount of space behind me. I'd like to strafe around you if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Turtle. When you get used to the rolling in this game, it's really not too bad, but just the first few hours of any Souls game can be a bit rough. Each of them have slightly their own feel, and yeah, it can become a little bit daunting to begin with. But if you don't let that discourage you, the games are absolutely excellent. There's an item down here, I believe. We can actually get behind there, but not from down here. And the same goes for the other item you may have spotted up at the base of that scaffolding up there. That's much later on though. So, the new enemy I mentioned is here. We have got iframes when we're opening this door. We can't actually attack that thing yet, but if it's still the same spot as it used to be, this should be another quite overpowered early weapon, and it is. It's a fire longsword. The other overpowered weapon I mentioned earlier on was actually the knights that I mentioned that used to be at the base of like the area earlier on where the tree was, up the top there. They used to drop a lightning weapon, which was also very good early on. I think that was the staple of my early playthroughs of this game, back when I didn't really want to experiment because I was absolutely garbage at the game. I mean, I'm still not great, but I'm better than I was. I'm definitely not going for like the cheap weapons like the fire longsword this playthrough. Although I'm going for a bastard sword, which is a two-handed sword. Well, it's a great sword, so it should be two-handed primarily, so it's a bit more of a different skill set. You're not cowering behind a shield like I found I was doing on my first few playthroughs of these games. And indeed, Melania, queen of fucking bullshit in Elden Ring, is causing me to wish I was in that as well, for fuck's sake. This is one reason I like having life gems in Dark Souls 2. I think it breaks the game in some ways because you don't have to rely on that limited pool of Estus healing. But for dumb shit like the fall damage, which this game has an awful lot of in an awful lot of places, it can be very fucking used because platforming in these games is terrible, and Dark Souls 2 has more of it than the first game did. And more than the third as well, I'd say. Right, we're going to rush up here and deal with this guy. And get hit by a fucking arrow while we do it. Gonna deal with this con. Oh god. I wanted to get out of the way there in case that firebomb hit me. Never mind, because that one did anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna die here. Oh, I'm not. Alive. As long as that arrow doesn't hit me from that archer up there, I'm alive. Oh my god. You need to die now, sir. Thank you. Now, I'm really hoping I don't get tagged by this enemy up here. I'm gonna pop a life gem just to make sure. I thought Valenia should have moved from here actually by now. Oh, that was the guy who dropped down behind us actually. I did wonder why there was a light who dropped down over there. I thought she moved now, but I could be wrong. Either way, we're going to go back and level up and hopefully have enough for the Bastard Sword so that next episode we can progress through this area and take on the first boss of the game. So let's go back to Majula. This will be like a staple of the end of episodes, teleporting between Majula and our next area. So we'll level up. We needed 20 strength, I believe. And we have just enough souls to get there. This won't be our endgame weapon, the Bastard Sword we're about to equip, but it'll do for the early game. And the fact it's got a +1 stat bonus on it now means it does a little more damage than it would normally. Let's see what it'll take to upgrade it again. 2 more Titanite shards, and they are 800 apiece, I believe. So we can't afford to upgrade it again, so let's go back to the spot we were at and prepare to take on the Cardinal Tower. Thank you for watching, folks, and I will see you next time when we'll be going down there and dealing with the enemies ahead of us. Goodbye.